Today's class is about game design documentation. Let's do this, people. Game design documentation masterclass. All right. So this is going to be epic because this is something I only teach the Spartans. And this is essentially for the Spartans. But this is I've decided to open it up for everyone. Guys, game design documentation is incredibly important because what it does is that it helps you to get a job. The most important function of a game design document is obviously to make sure that the game is made properly, but it is an absolutely amazing tool to get a job. The first job I ever got as game designer at Game Loft. So it's an interesting story. I was in Vancouver at the time. Okay, I was sitting in Vancouver, and I needed to move back to India. And essentially, at that point, I had an interview set up with Gameloft. Gameloft found me on, I don't know, Naukri.com, and they are like, hey, can we interview you? And I was like, sure. And I had a couple of interviews, and they asked me to make a game design document for some random fictitious game, and I made it, and they loved it, and I got a job in India, in Hyderabad, sitting in Vancouver. Okay, most people want to go from Hyderabad to Vancouver. I actually was sat in Vancouver and I got a job in Hyderabad. So I went kind of the other way, and it was all through a game design document, right? So, what are we going to be doing? We're going to talk about the following in today's masterclass, and not in this particular order. We're going to talk about why it's important to create a great game design document. We are going to talk about some fundamental principles of making good GDDs. So I'm going to be sharing a lot of GDDs with you. I'm going to be showing you game design documents. I'm going to be showing you concept documents. We're going to go over these game design documents that that I have made. We're going to go through them in great detail, right? And I'm going to show you all that stuff. Then I'm going to tell you some tips and hacks to making a concise and detailed document. And I'm also going to be telling you about the do's and don'ts of making game design documentation. So, this is something which this is not like bookish knowledge, right? This is stuff I have learned in about 14 years of making games. When I went to Vancouver Film School, the most important thing in the game design course there was making a game design document. And the game design document that I made in Vancouver Film School, I'm going to share that with you guys. We're going to go over it in great detail. I'm going to show that to you. It's like a pretty epic document. Okay. You guys are going to get to see it now. Okay. And of course, we're going to talk about the different kinds of game design documentation. There's actually 2 or 3 different kinds of game design documentation, and I'm going to be showing you all that stuff. Okay. So, are you guys ready? Okay, so how are game design documents born? Where do they come from? They come from concept documents. So, a concept document is kind of like a mini version of a game design document. The way it works is that a concept document is a very, very brief document. And so, for example, what we do in Gamer to Maker is that we come up, everybody in the batch in the game design course comes up with concept documents, and they don't come up with one, they come up with 3 concept documents, right? I'll show you what a concept document looks like. We have 3 concept documents which each person makes. We pitch them, and then we select one from these 3 concept documents. Concept document is a very brief document, and it is basically from the concept document, you extend it, you expand it, you describe it, that game in much, much more detail. And from that, a game design document is born. So a concept document is basically the progenitor or the father of the game design document, but it's a very small father. I know that's weird, but like I'll show you how that happens shortly. Okay, let's talk about concept document and game design document. Some of you guys might be confused. Rahul, what's a concept document and what's the difference between a concept document and a game design document? Firstly, a concept document is only 1 or 2 pages, right? A design document is many, many, many pages, right? The one I'm going to show you is actually 51 pages. Next, a concept document is a very, very high level description of the game, and the game design document is a very, very detailed document that has lots and lots of details about the game, as you guys will see very shortly. Right? The concept document, what's the use of a concept document? The concept document is basically used for pitching. If you're going to tell someone about your game idea, maybe you're looking for investors, maybe you're looking for someone to team up with, or maybe you're in gamer to maker and you are saying, hey, what kind of game should we make? Or you're working in a company and there you have 3 4 5 different game ideas, and for each game idea you have a concept document. You can use it for pitching because you can read through a concept document in like 3 to 4 minutes at the very most. Okay. The game design document, on the other hand, is used as a guide for production, right? Is the production of the game happens with think of it as a textbook, think of it as the guide, think of it as a blueprint of the game, and the game is actually built by looking at the game design document. Okay. Essentially in gamer to maker we have a principle of make three select one. So we come up with three ideas, from we pitch those three ideas, and then we come up with one, and then we select one, and then we make a game design document, right? And the game design document, on the other hand, you make only one, and you have to keep changing it as it goes by. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is that, I've talked about concept document, I've talked about game design document, and now I'm going to quickly show you what a concept document look like and what the game design document looks like. I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like. So this is from a game I actually made. I made this game long ago. This is one of the first games I made myself. It was just kind of made as a kind of like as fun. It was a game called Star Miner, and this is the concept document. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Now, this is a concept document for a game called Star Miner. Right now, as you can see, guys, this is literally just one page. As you guys can see over here, it's just a one-page document which you can read really quickly, and it has something called a high concept, right? A high concept is basically the complete idea of the game in just one or two sentences. You should be somebody who's reading a concept document should be able to just start, and within like 30 seconds should have a very, very good idea about what the game is. So this is a high concept. Star Miner is a free flyer similar to Free Runner for mobile devices, where you play as an alien flying a ship in space, collecting gems of different shapes and colors, right? And then there's a very brief description of the gameplay. So if, as you can see, it's purely what is the game, what do you do, the ship moves left to right, blah blah blah, the player needs to move the ship, etc. A very brief description that there are a couple of features. There's something called boosts, and then you have upgrades of just one single sentence. There's also just a short paragraph about art style. There is just one line about monetization, and there is one line about competitive analysis, guys. Okay, this is a concept document. This is a document you can actually make. Say, suppose in gamer to maker we make several concept documents, so I'm going to actually show you one of the concept documents from gamer to maker. So this is some of you guys may have seen this game. This is a concept document. There is a game right now, some of you may have seen it, called Arise the game. Now Arise the game is going to be actually almost done next month. This is the concept document for that, right? It was started off. So what happens in gamer to maker is that everybody in gamer to maker comes up with a game idea, right? And they come up with their own concept document, and I give them feedback, I train them how to create a beautiful concept document, and then they pitch their game. They have an opportunity to go in front of the entire batch and say, this is my game. They make an elevator pitch, they pitch their game, and then we vote upon which game we are going to make. So as you can see, high concept, gameplay, abilities, some really nice little screenshots. Of course, trust me, in the end, this game is completely different. It was not a side-scrolling game. It's actually a top-down game now. But there's a little bit about the art style, monetization, competitive analysis, and some beautiful links saying for some references over there, etc., etc. So this, as you guys can see, are concept documents. Okay, now concept documents, they seem quite easy to make, right? It's like, oh, it's just, but trust me, making a good concise concept document is quite hard, because you have to explain the whole game. You have to say what's cool about the game in a very very short time and in a very very short space. So now a concept document, you can have 4 5 6 concept documents, and most of them won't get made. Like in my folder, I from especially from VFS or something and my own games, I must have like 20 30 concept documents, and but they just stayed at the concept, right? Now if a game actually gets selected for production, if it gets greenlit for production, then what happens is that it goes into production. When it goes into pre-production, then an actual game design document is made. So similarly in Gamer to Maker, we have in my inbox right now, I have like 10 20 30 concept documents from people which didn't make it, and then 2 3 4 of those actually became games. So some of those concept documents are actually going to pass the test of being greenlit and then become actual game design document. So now what I'm going to do is, you guys have already seen the game concept document. It was called Star Miner, and then I actually made it. So this is the actual game design document for that game that I showed you. It's called Star Trail. It was released in 2012. If you search Star Trail for iOS or Star Trail for Android, you will actually be able to see it on YouTube. So this game actually got made. So as you can see, this is a game design document, and this is several pages. Now this is a simple game, guys. This is not a very very complicated game. As you can see, this has revision history. This has a table of contents. This has a genre, platform, introduction, fiction, storyline, gameplay, and this is a much more detailed document. It has diagrams, it has tables. I'll show you all this stuff later, not to worry, but just to tell you that that was a concept document, and from that concept document comes this game design document, which is quite detailed. Now this, like I said, this is not a very very long document, because the game was actually a very very simple game. It was a mobile game, so it's not very long, but still it has a lot of detail, right? This is the game flow diagram. This is the mock-up for the main screen. This was just made by me in Photoshop, and that's it, right? So hopefully now you guys understand, fundamentally there are two different types of documentation. There is a concept document, and then there is a game design document, right? It could be for the same game, but the game design document has a lot of detail. Okay, now let me get back to my slideshow. These are the basic differences between the two. All right. Next, let's talk about why a game design document is important. What's the purpose of a game design document? There are lots of people on the internet say, oh, you don't need a game design document. It's not important. I've made games without a game design document. Fine. It's possible you may have been working by yourself, or maybe one or two guys working, and maybe you made a game without a game design document. However, in the game industry, if you're going to get a job at a studio where there are 2 3 4 5 people, you want to work in AAA, you want to work for Naughty Dog, you want to work for the big boys, everyone uses game design documents. Like, you would not think of building a skyscraper without a blueprint. Why would you thinking of building a game without a game design document? So essentially, now what you're looking on screen is, I probably showed this diagram in the last masterclass about a couple of months ago. Some of you may have seen it. Essentially, as you can see, is it is the midpoint. It is a core of the game production. The build of the game comes from the game design document. Game design document is referred to by the game programmer, by the game testers, and by the game artists, right? They know what to make by actually looking at the game design document. It is a blueprint, it is a plan. It tells them what they need to build in great detail, right? If there's no game design document, everything, all hell breaks loose. Nobody knows what to make. The programmer is just going to be making what in the hell they want. The testers will not know what the game should be like. The testers need to understand what their what the game is supposed to be, so they can test it and say, okay, it is this or it is not. And of course, the artists need to also understand the game, the functionality of the game, the art of the game, etc. So at the core of every game is a game design document. Guys, if you ever hear on the internet or you ever hear some random people saying, guys, game design document is not important, that is false. Please do not listen to them. Everybody in a game company, and I'm talking about like a serious game company, needs to refer to a game design document. They are very, very important. And I'll tell you one thing, if you're a game designer and if you know actually how to make a good game design document, man, you got a job. Okay, you got a job and you're going to be very, very valuable, because people are going to love you, because people don't like making game design documents so much. Game designers like making game design documents, right? And everybody loves to refer to a nice game design document. Okay, now let's move on. Now let's talk about some basic principles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some fundas, very easy to understand, and you have to remember these fundas whenever you are creating a game design document. Actually, any document, but particularly a game design document. And I have classified them as VCDC. I tried to make it ACDC, but it didn't work out. So the closest I could get was VCDC. Right. So what does VCDC stand for? The VCDC principles of making good game design documentation are: one, visual, right? Your document has to be visual. Next, concise. Your document has to be easy to read. People should not go to sleep. They should not be bored. They should find the information they want very, very easily. It needs to be concise. You cannot write a Mahabharat, you cannot write novel. It has to be brief, it has to be well written. Okay. Next, it has to be detailed. Everything has to be there. Everything about the game, the functionality has to be in that document. Now, there's a lot of detail. Now, the more complicated the game you're going to make, the more detailed the game design document is going to be, right? And then customized. Every game design document is unique. And I'm going to talk about each one of these specifically now. Okay. All right. So, first one, make your document visual. Nobody likes a wall of text. Always have screen mockups. So, a screen mockup is something that as a game designer, you need to know Photoshop, right? Like, or GIMP or whatever it is. Make sure that instead of talking about things, about how it's going to look, make a mockup for your screen. This is the main screen of Star Trail. I did it in Photoshop. I got a planet, I got some random spaceship from the internet, I got some random diamonds here and there, I created some stuff, and all the elements of the game are here. I have levels, I have the score, I have the power. Of course, it changed a lot, right? It changed a lot. If you see the final game, it's like it looks very, very different from this, especially the user interface. But this was the basis. This is the mock-up that went inside the documentation, right? Next, have things like flowcharts, right? As to how the game is going to be, what the screens are going to be. This is very, very important. If you learn how to make some nice flowcharts, the programmers are going to love you. The artists are going to love you because they know what screens to make. They know how the flow of the game is going to be. It really, really helps the programmers and the other people in the team if you give them a nice flowchart. And also screenshots. Screenshots are awesome, right? Screenshots from other random games which you think are going to help you. Put them inside your document, right? That's the first principle, which is visual. The next principle is concise. Choose your words very, very carefully, right? Let it be short, let it be meaningful, right? Now the key is that you have to, the first time you write a document, it may be too long. It will not, maybe it will definitely be too long. Okay, you're going to write like 10 sentences, and then you need to read that and then say, okay, I don't need to use this sentence, I can make this sentence shorter, I'm repeating myself, let me make it shorter, let me make it shorter, let me make it shorter. And then you basically have to use the least least number of words possible to describe something. Use bullet points. Like, nobody likes gigantic paragraphs of text. Okay, use bullet points, use small paragraphs. I'll show you in my game design doc right after this. Always insert pictures, insert diagrams, insert charts instead of text. Don't just write stuff. Okay, as far as possible, substitute words for pictures and diagrams, right? And it's very, very important that you choose a readable font. Don't just have this fancy font that is, it looks beautiful but doesn't work. Okay, you people should be able, it should be pleasant on the eye. It's not that like after 5 minutes you get a headache. Next one, detail. Okay, it's all about detail. Now imagine if you got kidnapped. Okay, imagine if you just disappeared, only you knew what the game was about, and you disappeared for the entire production. The team should be able to make the game exactly the way it is in your head. Okay, that is why you have to have a lot of detail, and I'm going to kind of show you that. Okay, a very, very here's kind of like a hack. Okay, and if you want to be a designer, if you want to be a game designer, this is a really nice hack. You have to do a mental walkthrough of the game. It means that don't be like at a high level thinking, oh, there's going to be combat in this game, then I'm going to be combating monsters. No, think about what happens from moment to moment. Think, okay, I'm going to spawn, and then the next moment I'm going to start walking, and there's going to be an obstruction, and then there's going to be an enemy, and I'm going to press a space bar, and a bullet is going to come out, and then and the enemy is going to die, and then he's going to shoot at me. Another enemy is going to come, he's going to shoot at me, and I'm going to press this, and I'm going to jump, and then I'm going to dodge him, and I'm going to rush him and like bash his head in. So from moment to moment, do a mental walkthrough of the game, because that will allow you to write about the gameplay in great depth. If you don't do a mental walkthrough of the game, you're going to miss out a lot of details, right? Now put in pi numbers. Now what is pi? Pi is something that is my own term called pre-iteration estimate. Okay, it's called pre-iteration estimate. I'll show you this in the document that I'm going to share. So you have to put approximate numbers in for things. Next, you have to keep adding detail. Guys, don't think that the game design document is something that you're going to create once and then that's it. You're going to put it, share it with everybody, and that's the end of it. No, a game design document is a living, breathing thing that needs to keep changing, because as your game develops, as you build your game, a lot is going to change. And that stuff has to be going into the game design document. Always update the revision history, because revision history is basically what has changed, right? If a programmer reads the game design document, they are going to be like, okay, this is what's supposed to be made. And if you make a change, they're not going to know that that thing has changed. So the revision history is going to say, okay, this has changed at this state, etc., etc. But the last one is customized. Now, every game design document has to be customized for the game that is being made and the team. Every game is different, every team is different, which is why I actually don't like to give templates to people. Templates make people lazy. At Vancouver Film School, they refuse to give us templates. They're like, no templates, you have to make this from scratch. Okay, because if you have templates, it's possible you're going to miss stuff out. A game design document should be customized for every single game. If you want to be a world-class game designer, you should be able to create a game design document from scratch without any template, right? That's what it's really about. Now, why does it have to be customized? It has to be customized because every team is different, right? People understand things differently, right? Now, I'm going to show you a game design document which is going to look really beautiful, but that's not necessarily the most useful one. Okay, now I've seen some game design documents which look really ugly, right? Which are not beautiful and have awesome like formatting and beautiful fonts and everything, but they really work well. Okay, a nice, beautiful game design doc is nice to have. It's pleasant on the eyes, but it's more important that the information should be there rather than how beautiful it looks, right? Now, because it should be customized, because people are going to learn differently, right? It's possible you work with a programmer or a designer or an artist, and they understand, they absorb information in a different way. So you have to make sure that your game design document is suitable for them. Like if you have something that looks beautiful and gorgeous, but your team doesn't understand it, it's completely useless. So show your game design document to your team, to the programmers. And if the programmer says, dude, like I'm not understanding this, can you explain it in a different way? Then you'll have to change it. You'll have to customize it. Okay. Lastly, as I mentioned, templates may not be the best idea to follow. You should be able to build a game design document from scratch.